Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. And be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. It is set. We are going to get Brady versus Breeze. Saints versus Bucks for the third time this year. The first time ever that Tom Brady and Drew Brees will face each other in the playoffs. The oldest starting quarterback matchup in playoff history. For the first time, you'll have two 40-year-old quarterbacks starting against one another in a playoff game. And it'll happen Sunday in the Dome with the Saints hosting the Bucks. Saints have dominated Tampa twice this year. In week 1 and then again in week 9. But this matchup, I'm already hearing the anxiety from Saints fans. Oh, you know it's really hard to beat a team 3 times. And that's Tom Brady in the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't respect it. But I am going to sit here and tell you that on the other sideline, that's a team that stood toe-to-toe with the Saints twice this year and gotten their ass whipped twice. And there's a reason that Tampa has gotten its ass whipped twice by New Orleans. The Saints are better. A lot better than Tampa. It doesn't mean Tampa can't win the game. Don't misunderstand me. It's still the NFL. There's the any given Sunday factor. Look at what happened yesterday with Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh threw 4 interceptions in the ballgame. Cleveland was up 28-0 in a blink. Pittsburgh tried to get back in it. Dug too deep of a hole. It can happen. Sure, it can happen. But the Saints are better than Tampa. Sean Payton met with the media via teleconference on Monday and was asked about, in this game, the possibility of repeating the results of the first couple of games against Tampa.
I think that happens in this league occasionally, and yeah, I mean, look, you're typically playing hard-fought division games. Certainly we understand how good they're playing right now, looking at the film and the way they've played in the last month, really, month and a half. And so, when the playoffs come and you're playing a division opponent like this, it's a whole new season. It's entirely different.
Saints had to face Carolina in 2018 in the playoffs as well in the divisional round. So beat them 3 times. Not altogether unprecedented. After the loss to New Orleans, the 38-3 loss, the Bucs did lose a couple more times. They beat the Panthers, then lost to the Rams and the Chiefs. And then they've gone on a 4-game win streak against the Vikings, the Falcons, the Lions, and then the Falcons again. You know what those 4 teams have in common? The Vikings, the Falcons, the Lions, and the Falcons again? They all stink. People tried to sell you last week on Mitchell Trubisky becoming a better quarterback. You know who he stockpiled stats against? Bad teams. You know what happened when he faced New Orleans? Cat was sitting on 100 yards passing in the final minute of the game. Saints are better. And they're better than Tampa. Now, there is the Brady factor that people are going to bring up. Dude's won 6 Super Bowls. He's the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. Respect to Drew Brees. Short list of the all-time greats. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Tom Brady's the GOAT. He is the greatest ever. 6 Super Bowls. There is no disputing it. What about playing Tom Brady and preparing for him? Does that change things?
Well, listen, he's not just another guy or another player on another team, but you have to play and design and look at closely strengths, weaknesses. You got to study a ton of film. He's going to prepare just like we're going to prepare, but you're playing a team game, and you obviously have respect for the type of player he is and the type of team they've had, the season they've had this year. But you're doing all the things you can to prepare for situational football, the early downs, the red zone, the third down. You're not completely changing schedule.
Drew Brees was also asked post-game about facing Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Don't take it for granted. Very appreciative and of the opportunity. And listen, the minute that he signed with the Bucs and came in the division, you felt like, that was going to be a team to contend with. That was going to be a team that had playoff aspirations and beyond, just like us. So I guess it was inevitable.
So here we are, the inevitability, Saints Bucs. For what it's worth, Drew Brees has won 5 of his 7 career matchups against Tom Brady. He's had a lot of success against those teams. So all this week, primarily, there's going to be the 2 conversations about playing a team, trying to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, and then facing Tom Brady in the playoffs. And all week, you're going to hear me say the Saints are better than Tampa. There's a reason the Saints have shredded Tampa twice. It's because they're better than Tampa. There's a saying, styles make fights. You've heard it in boxing and MMA, but it's applicable to any sport. And if you've ever heard Sean Payton talk, which you have, we play a lot of his sound bites here, Sean Payton always says the number 1 goal when you start the season is win your division. Right? You want to get into the playoffs. You get in the playoffs by winning your division and then accumulate the best record to give yourself the best seeding, to have home field advantage, and so on. But the number 1 goal is win your division. So you build a roster to compete against your division. And nobody in the history of the NFC South has done what the Saints presently are doing. They swept the division this year. That's never happened. Division's been in place since 2002. And for the first time, they've won the division 4 straight years. They faced Tampa twice and whipped them twice. You're looking at 34-23 in week 1, and it wasn't that close. And then the 38-3 rout in Tampa in week 9. You want to know why that transpired? The teams defensively that give this Saints offense trouble are teams that can get pressure up the middle with their front 4. That's why the Rams are an awful matchup for New Orleans. Aaron Donald, that 2018 game, Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, Michael Brockers, so much talent on the interior that could bring pressure right into Breeze's face without having to bring numbers. That defense is a bad matchup. The Vikings defenses that have beaten the Saints. I know it's been controversial at the end and how it all transpired, but the only reason that those were games were because the Vikings defensive line gave the Saints fits. It's a bad matchup. Tampa's D-line don't do that. And there ain't nobody in that awful secondary that can run with Mike Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. And now Deontay Harris looks like a dude after this past weekend. It's a matchup that favors New Orleans. Flip it around. How do you beat Tom Brady? We've seen this his entire career. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but how do you do it? You pressure him. You get him off his spot. There are some quarterbacks that thrive in those settings. Patrick Mahomes is one of them. The Saints pressured Mahomes the whole game in the Dome. And time and again, Mahomes would elude pressure, make an off-balance throw, and convert on 3rd and 11. He'd get 13. He's great at that. Russell Wilson's great at that. Tom Brady isn't. Tom Brady needs a clean pocket, and he will slice and dice you. But if you pressure him, that's a problem for Tom Brady. We saw it in 2 Super Bowls against the Giants. That's how the Giants made those games competitive. They had a great pass rush. In 2 games this year, week 1, Saints, 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions. Pressure. Week 9, 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 3 interceptions. Pressure. How do you beat Tom Brady? Pressure. The Saints do that. Who's that poor kid that's the left tackle for Tampa? Just nickname him Turnstile. Because it doesn't matter if it's Davenport, if it's Hendrickson, if it's Cam, whoever's over there, they're whipping that dude all day. Matchups. It favors New Orleans. Do we need to talk about if Tom Brady does get the ball off, how much Marshawn Lattimore has owned Mike Evans in his career? 2 games this year. In week 1, Evans had 1 catch for 2 yards. In week 9, long after the issue was in doubt, 4 catches for 64 yards. Mike Evans is a non-factor. Stylistically, he's a receiver that Marshawn Lattimore matches up very well against. Lattimore struggles with guys like Cooper Kupp, Guys in the slot, shiftier guys. That's where he struggled. Big physical dudes like that, straight line dudes, he's great against those guys. We're going to talk about this all week. But the reason the Saints have beaten the Bucs twice, handily, is because the Saints are better than the Bucs. This is a matchup, top to bottom, that favors New Orleans. There's a reason it's gone the way it has twice already, and why the probability of Sunday, it's going to go the way we expect it will again. I'm not saying take it lightly. I'm not saying be dismissive. I'm just saying don't fear it. What happened in week 1 and what happened in week 9 wasn't a fluke. The Saints are better. And they'll get a chance to prove it for a third time on Sunday. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.